So, when you look at the animal kingdom, what do you really see? I mean, from the tiniest insect to the biggest whale, the sheer variety of life on Earth can feel, well, overwhelming, almost chaotic. But what if I told you there's a hidden order, a kind of secret blueprint that connects every single creature out there? Today, let's become detectives and uncover that blueprint together.
Okay, first things first, let's just get our heads around the sheer scale of this investigation. Scientists estimate there are about 8.7 million distinct animal species on our planet. And get this, that's just an estimate. There are probably millions more we haven't even discovered yet, just waiting for their case file to be opened. So yeah, that 8.7 million number, it's a bit of a problem, right? I mean, can you imagine trying to study each one individually? It's impossible. You'd need 1,000 lifetimes. So how on earth do biologists even begin to make sense of this incredible diversity? Well, the answer is you organize it. Instead of this massive, impossible library with millions of books just thrown everywhere, biologists create sections, categories, a system to bring order to all that chaos. This whole process is the foundation of our investigation. It's called classification. Think about it like this. Imagine walking into a huge supermarket where nothing is organized. You've got fruit mixed in with, I don't know, cleaning supplies, and the bread is sitting right next to the motor oil. Total chaos, right? You'd never find what you need. Without a system, the animal kingdom is pretty much that chaotic supermarket. And that's what animal classification is. It's our detective's filing system. We group animals based on what they have in common and what makes them different. But here's the cool part. This doesn't just make them easier to study. It actually reveals the incredible story of how life itself evolved over millions and millions of years. So to pull this off, biologists basically become detectives. They look for fundamental clues in an animal's basic body plan, its blueprint, to figure out exactly where it fits in the grand scheme of things. And you know what's wild? It turns out you can figure out most of this blueprint just by asking 4 fundamental questions. All right, so here they are. The 4 big clues in our detective's toolkit. We're going to look at how the body is put together, its symmetry, the basic layers it's built from, and whether or not it has an internal cavity. So let's break each one down. First up, body organization. And this one is all about complexity. You know, you start at the simplest level, which is basically just a bunch of cells hanging out together, like a sponge. But then evolution takes a leap. Those cells start to organize into coordinated tissues, like what you see in jellyfish. Then those tissues can team up to form organs. And finally, those organs work together in really complex systems, like, well, our own bodies. Okay, clue number 2, symmetry. And the most basic plan, well, it's having no plan at all. It's called asymmetry. This just means you can't slice the animal through any central point and get 2 equal halves. Sponges are the perfect example here. They have no defined shape at all. All right, a step up from that is radial symmetry. Seriously, think of slicing a pizza or a cake. You can cut it through the middle any way you want, and you'll always get equal repeating slices. Animals like jellyfish and sea anemones have this body plan, and it's super useful for sensing danger or food coming from any direction. And then we have the one we're all familiar with, bilateral symmetry. This is us. There's literally only one way you can slice us down the middle to get 2 mirror image halves, a left side and a right side. This kind of body plan is a huge deal. It's linked to having a distinct head, moving forward with purpose, and much more complex behaviors. Clue number 3 gets into the nitty-gritty, the building blocks. As an embryo, an animal is built from these fundamental cell layers. The simplest animals are what we call diploblastic. Think of die for 2. It's like a sandwich with just 2 layers, an outside and an inside. But more complex animals, including us, we're triploblastic, try for 3. We have that crucial 3rd layer in the middle. And that middle layer, that's the game changer. It's what allows for things like muscles and all sorts of complex organs to develop. And that brings us to our final clue, the body cavity, or the coelom if you want to get technical. And the question is pretty simple. Is there any empty fluid-filled space inside for the organs to hang out in? The simplest animals are acoelomate, A meaning without, so no cavity. Their organs are just kind of packed into solid tissue. But the more advanced animals, they're eucoelomate, meaning they have a true cavity. And this is an absolutely brilliant evolutionary design. It gives organs room to grow, to move around, and to function without being squished by the body wall. Okay, so we've got our detective's toolkit ready to go. Let's actually put it to use and see how these clues help us crack the case, revealing this amazing story of life getting more and more complex. So let's open our first file, the phylum Porifera, better known as sponges. We apply our clues and what do we find? The absolute simplest blueprint. Their body is just a loose collection of cells. Symmetry? Nope, they're asymmetrical. Internal body cavity? None. This is our baseline, folks, the starting point for all multicellular animal life.
Okay, now watch this, because we're about to see a huge evolutionary leap. We move to the phylum Sedenaria. We're talking jellyfish here. Suddenly, their body plan is organized at the tissue level. That's a massive upgrade. They've got radial symmetry, and they're built from those two germ layers. You can literally see the blueprint getting more sophisticated right before your eyes.
All right, now let's jump way ahead and see how this all comes together in a really advanced group, the phylum Annelida, your everyday earthworms. Here, we find a seriously advanced blueprint. We're talking complex organ systems, bilateral symmetry, a true body cavity, the whole shebang. Plus, they show off another key feature, segmentation. You see how their body is built from all these repeating units? That design allows for way more specialized movement and function. So we've seen how these clues help us map out life, from the super simple to the really complex. But where do we fit in? Where do humans and all the other vertebrates land on this map? Well, the big reveal, the thing that separates us from them, it all comes down to one single feature that creates this major fork in the evolutionary road. And that feature is something called the notochord. It's basically the simple, flexible rod that gives support, and it only shows up in a very specific group of animals. Now, why is this little rod so important? Because for vertebrates, that's us. This simple rod is what develops into our entire backbone. It's literally the original scaffold for our whole skeleton. And right there, that's the great divide. On one side, you have the non-chordates. This is the vast, vast majority of the animal kingdom. We're talking insects, worms, jellyfish, all of them. They never have a notochord. But on the other side, you have the chordates. This is the group that includes every fish, amphibian, reptile, bird, and mammal, including us. We all share this one feature at some point in our lives. It's the one thing that ties us all together. You see, this whole system, it's not just about neatly filing animals away into little boxes. It's a map. It's a map that traces the incredible, mind-boggling journey that life took, starting from these simple little clumps of cells and branching out over millions and millions of years to produce the astounding complexity that we see all around us. So by understanding this blueprint, we're not just learning about other animals. We're learning about our own history, our own place in this grand, totally interconnected story of life. And that leaves us with a pretty cool question, right? As we keep exploring and refining this map, what other amazing connections are just waiting to be discovered?